Let me state that PENON's 10th Anniversary IEM is the best collage of every IEM they've ever made. I don't want to listen to my gear, I want to listen to music. I think if you were thinking about passing this one up, you shouldn't. It allowed itself to have time to do the bass hit completely. The tuning, really just a masterful piece of kit. Mind-numbing speed, really just wow. So why am I telling you this? It's the end of the world as we know it. Sorry, I have a warped sense of humor. Each watt of power. But I heard things that I haven't ever heard before. That was a special moment for me. By the grace of good karma. That's why I called it the Audio Vampire. It just sounds really good in the highs, so I heard a ringing like those little clapping toy monkeys. That's all I got to say about that. The 10th does this in spades, and then some. Blue and red. Once you dial this thing in, there's a joke in there somewhere, but it's dirty. Anyway. No country music was, or ever will be played on anything I ever listen to. Again, I'll remind you that I paid full price. Hello everyone, this is the Tone Deaf Monk. Today, I'm talking about the Audio Vampire. That's right. I was super excited when I ordered this one. Full price. So if my review sounds like an infomercial, just know that I paid every cent of this. In fact, there's some blood, sweat, and tears that went into this one. So let's go. Let's go about just, and I'm going to do this review as a narrative to my written review, which I'll post in the description, which I went further on. I apologize. I do not apologize for this review being long, because this IEM is deserving. This is the PENON 10th Anniversary IEM. That's the name. If you haven't seen what they look like, they have this electric blue shell with red and blue swirlies. And looks like these are all hand done again, and each one is individual. From others that I've seen, they all look different. So very cool that you each have your own set. I'll talk about this cable that I'm using and my journey with this. But let's just jump into a little bit of things. What I liked. Included accessories. And again, thank you, PENON, for saving the environment and making minimalistic packaging. Really, I don't need massive boxes and this and that. I bought this at the 10th anniversary promotion, where I got a free gift, and my free gift was a set of NF Audio NF2U 2BA pretty cool. I'll do a review on those things. Couple $100 worth is pretty nice. And then you get, when I bought it originally, you get the PENON original blue cases, which I don't think they have anymore. And along they shipped a new case, a leather 10th anniversary case that's coming. I don't have that to show you. But all the accessories, you know, PENON, do it top notch, like multiple tips, like good quality stuff too. You know, they didn't spare anything. I mean, there's a little cleaning brush, and everything comes in this nice little PENON leather pouch. Just really well done. You know, I don't get all goo goo gaga on the accessories, but a lot of this is standout. Inside, you get, and I ordered a 4.4. This is called a CS819, and so this is the cable. So CS, copper, silver. 8 cores, 19 shares. I don't know what that means. In a 0.78 2-pin, no ear hooks. Really soft, really nice cable that I used for some impressions, but most of my impressions were done on a different cable. Just because I found something that synergized extremely well. So I'll talk about that if you wish in a little bit, but pretty awesome. Some of the other standout things, really, to begin this review, sibilant-free highs. I'll pull up a graph here in a bit. For treble-sensitive people like me, it's perfect. It still has absolute tons of extension and air, and I'll explain the driver count in a bit. This is a balanced W-shaped IEM. That's the sound signature. I don't want to get too much into that, but we can do that in a different time. But this IEM, if you've ever listened to a PENON, or if you've never listened to a PENON, you hear people talk about the PENON house sound. And it really has to do with the vocals. There's just something that is very organic, very natural, very lush, and it translates to every single one of their IEMs. And when they tuned this 10th anniversary IEM, that translated into that as well. It trickled down into that. So it has the unmistakable house PENON sound. Fantastic bottom end that goes low, hits hard, while blending into the mix with minimum bass bleed into vocals. That was cable dependent, by the way. So for you people who are unbelievers of cable rolling, that's okay. You're going to get one that does it really well. The included one is very nice. Vocals. Standout. Both male, female, silky smooth, organic, really is a good word. Lush, very musical way. And I wrote it in my written review. This is like a copy and paste from every PENON or ISN that I have listened to so far. So I've listened to the Globe, the Serial, the ISN H50, and now the 10th anniversary. So, yeah. Micro and macro details. So something you typically don't get in a very balanced, neutral, I wouldn't say balanced, I'll say neutral IEM, where you don't have a lot of bottom end and you don't have a lot of top end. In more of a V shape and a W shape signature, where you get some bass and then it kind of dips down, then it goes up into the upper highs or upper mids, and then you'll have a dip again, and then you'll go into the really high extension. That's W, right, for me, instead of just a V where you get bass and then a gain to the highs. So that's why I call this one a W. But with that kind of sound signature, with that kind of tuning, you get a really dynamic, exciting, that does micro and macro dynamics. And I'll explain that in a little bit further in the review as well. So I wrote it as well. This thing I just reviewed from a friend. Thank you, DJ Krusty, for loaning me your FiR Audio $4,000 XE6s. What a standout IEM. I didn't do a review on them because I couldn't get the fit correct, and I didn't want to do them injustice. But when I did do it, the bass is unworldly. It really is. Look it up. It's called the FiR Audio Xe6. But my point here is that the 10th anniversary hits 80% of that $4,000 IEM, in my opinion, the base quality. Not the quantity, but the quality. That's a massive statement to make. Nextly, one of the best EST implementations I have ever heard on an IEM. Bam! My wish list. Some of the things that I found that I was... You can't have it all. you can try, but you can't. Micro nuances. Not a huge knock here against the 10th, just because I'm comparing this to like a 64 audio, again, loaned from friend. The 64 audio U12T. What an amazing IM. It just has it presents in a way. Go watch my video if you get more of a feeling for what I'm saying. But it just takes its time. It breathes through the notes. It's a fantastic IM. Maybe not as nearly as fun as the 10th anniversary, but you get an idea of the micro nuances. It can just pick out details that you will miss in lesser IMs. Again, why you would spend $2K on a IM or higher, right? But again, I'm comparing this IM that's, $500 to that IM. And that's, again, imitation is good flattery, they say. Stage depth, I found that was good, but again, it wasn't just average. And again, further on, I'll talk to you about the stage because it's a wish list, but it's not a negative. My last point was really female vocals on a pure copper cable had too much thickness. That's why I really think if you're using this IM, do some cable rolling. I found on a pure copper cable, it had too much note weight in the bottom end. Even after about 80 hours of burn-in, it's even better now, and it's getting better as I use it more. But it has a tad, just too much note weight in the female vocals with a copper cable. All that's mitigated with something with silver. And in the end, my favorite impressions were done with this Hokuge cable called a Joyful Voice, and it's a tri mixture of copper, SPC, and gold plated copper. So love this cable with this IM. For me, it is never coming off. There you go. So that means I'll have to buy another one. I wrote a big thing starting off, and I'll make this little clip and then I'll post it in the thing. So here it goes. PENON house sound in the most cohesive, balanced IM PENON has ever done to date. A W-shaped sound signature that sucks you into the music. That's why I called it the audio vampire. Now, let's get into it. Some techie stuff. This is a 2+2+2 configuration. So there's two. If you watch my PENON Fan 2 video, these are the same exact dynamic drivers in the bottom end, but tuned differently. So you get the two 6mm crystalline plated biological diaphragm they're both tuned to do the same frequency outputs, and they both come out in this little chamber, and if you see some of the pictures, together into one of the 3 sound tubes. Next is you have the SONION balanced armature for the mids. My favorite. All of my favorite IMs use this exact BA for vocals. Even dynamic drivers for me don't hit this level of smoothness, and PENON is known for using the SONION BA, and it works, and they know it, and they tune it. They know how to tune it, and it's amazing. That's why the PENON house vocals are in the 10th anniversary as well. For the high end, using a Knowles balanced armature, and I'm happy about that because originally in the original marketing material it said SONION, and I was like, I was a little worried because I'm not a fan of SONION highs. I'm a fan of the Knowles BA because I find it has a bit more sharper high frequencies that are still very natural, but add more detail and sparkle than the SONION brother. So I was pretty happy when they corrected that. It just sounds really good in the highs. So, and those two BAs come out of another sound tube, the second one. The third one, so now there's two back to SONION EST drivers. These are not cheap. These are probably the most expensive drivers out there. And this does the ultra highs. And they both share this third sound tube. Shell, just to talk about the last configuration, is a really, really nice shaped resin shell. Different from the Fan 2. The nozzle isn't so long and it's not shaped in a weird way. So fitment issues should be better here than the Fan 2. I find it's pretty fantastic. It goes in there. Isolation is, again, really, really good. If I show you left, right, I mean, really nice. I'm using JVC FX10 spiral dots. That's my tip of choice. I love that tip. Really works well on this IEM as well. And it's kind of funny. So if you look at my logo, blue and red, yin and yang, I'll go into the story. Blue and red. Four-way crossover. So I'm assuming that the two 6mm, those two are crossed over with a low pass slope, and then the mid BA, SONION BA, has a low slope and a high pass filter, and then of course the high frequency BA nulls, another high pass filter. Let it go full. And then the ESTs, you want to make sure that they're only doing the ultra highs. So that's why there'd be four-way, four fingers. Four fingers. There's a joke in there somewhere, but it's dirty. Anyway. Sensitivity, 110 dB for each watt of power. And an impedance of 9 ohms. So what does that mean? Well, it means it's pretty damn easy to drive. So I drove this thing off of my Hibby R6 Gen 3. I drove it off the Shiro DAC. I have yet to try it on the ESS Shanling UP5. I think that's going to do really well. It didn't really matter, actually. This IEM sounds fantastic on any source, in my opinion. My uber happy place ended up being using the Hibby as transport going into an iFi Zendac 2 and an iFi CAN with the X-Space button turned on, and Hibby's Mage Sound 8-ball with a very slight tweak. They sound fantastic without any EQ. Let's get that out of the way. But once you dial this thing in, man, you can really it just needed, for me, to make it perfect, a tweak. And that's what I did, and it was easy. And whether I use the tweak or not the tweak, I really love it. So there you go. But I dialed it in. That's how much time I spent with this thing so far. The cable that you can buy, you can either buy it as a 3.5. You know, that's one of my bone of contentions for cable, especially at this price point. So you can buy it in single-ended, you can buy it in 2.5, you can buy it in 4.4. And that's exactly what I did. So all of my impressions are on 4.4 balanced. I also really love this thing off of the Gishelli AKM J2 DAC and the topping A90D. I was like, it's pretty sweet. Before we get into some sound impressions, I want to share a bit of story to the 10th. And thank you for indulging me on this one, but I think it adds some relevance to this. As you know, I buy most of my gear. I get some stuff sponsored, but they typically throw me the freebies, the cheapy stuff. which is great too because I like finding some gems. I really wanted this IEM. I really loved the Fan 2, and I knew I was going to like this one, just the driver account, and so I was a little bit of a conundrum of what to do here. I was broke, so I had bought some other stuff, and I couldn't afford it, but so I made a really hard decision. But when I saw the announcement of the PENON 10th anniversary, I really had an epiphany moment. A light bulb went off, and I knew what I had to do to afford this IEM. So take a step back in time. I originally purchased a set of EJ07M kind of lavas. I was really excited for that. I've heard obviously wonderful things. It has a bit of a cult following. My disappointment really was when I found out that the actual tuning was not as advertised. I'm not getting into that story, but let's just say Let Sure was wonderful to deal with, first of all. But I also spent more than my initial output, which was a lot for me. Another 160 because I wasn't really happy with that. You know, you buy something, it's not as advertised. Okay, for 160, we'll reshell it for you, not just retune it. Because I asked for a retune. I asked for a 3 dB sub bass boost. Give me as much sub bass boost as you possibly can, because that driver is so fast and so quick. It you know. But there's also limitations on tuning as well. Because of the drivers. So I tried to pick out a blue resin shell from the selection, and it really, in the end, it never turned out the way I wanted it to, because the pictures and just don't, it was hard. So I came, you know, the whole thing came back to me a bit disappointing. The base shelf wasn't what I was expecting it to be still. And overall, you know, I think the EJ07s are definitely worthy of the praise. It's a wonderful IEM. It's got an amazing head stage, instrument placement, EST implementation, all excellent. But I shelved it. I wasn't using it. So why am I telling you this? And why is this in this PENON 10th review? Because my journey to get here with the 10th, you know, as you get to listen to more IEMs and have a greater sense of your personal taste and what IEM you pick up on a daily basis, for me, the EJs are excellent. They were standout in their own right, but I stopped listening to them. Why? Because they just pushed the technical details beyond my personal comfort zone. And instead of just listening to the music, I found I was listening to the IEM. Right? I don't want to listen to my gear. I want to listen to music. And that's what was happening. So I didn't really use them. So come full circle. I have a set of unused $700 plus IEMs. So here's where I interject my epiphany moment. I decided to sell them. I decided to sell them, let them go to a new home, so I can afford the 10th. That's exactly what happened. The color, by the grace of good karma, for the 10th was exactly what I was shooting for when I was trying to get the custom resin shell from Let Sure. The use of SONION BAs for mids was also in the mix. You know, I just reviewed and fell in love with the Fan 2, and the 10th's dual 6mm are the same. I just knew this IEM was really meant for me. The faceplate also happens to be my logo cover. The colors on the faceplate just happen to match my logo colors. A coincidence? I think not. Best decision ever. Move one I'm not listening to, though it had a special place, and the trials and tribulations that went into that made this one all so much sweeter. Okay, let's go to some standout track impressions. It's the end of the world as we know it. That's not a statement, that's a song, by the way, from REM. Layering in instrumentals, vocals, showcase, the implementation of those SONION EST drivers. If you haven't heard an EST driver before, what do they do? Well, they add some twinklies and sparklies. I'm going to steal that one from Tony because I think it's a great descriptor. On the very top end, that just gives this track especially a special presentation that was just thoroughly enjoyable. ESTs don't do the highs, they do the really, really highs. And if done correctly, adds just a little bit of detail that it pushes it over the top. Without, and the tuning of the 10th does it in a way where it didn't overdo it, and that's pretty important too. I had a pair of GS Audio Xe12s that had 4 EST SONION drivers, and it was too much. They did too much, and maybe that's fantastic. Someone will enjoy that set, and it's super articulate. That's not what I was looking for, and neither was PENON in this set. So there you go. Scared. Next song, Tragically Hip. On the first track, I heard a ringing, like those little clapping toy monkeys, you know? That's what came to mind. Sorry. I have a warped sense of humor. But it done in a very subtle way, and again, it added the most excellent replay, and then the guitars. Combine that with Gord Dowie's voice, and I actually heard things in this song that I have played so many times over and over, and I know it so well, but I heard things that I haven't ever heard before. That was a special moment for me. I don't care anymore. Not another statement again, but a song by Phil Collins. Stereo bass. Okay, so FiR Audio Xe6, phenomenal. Again, that left and right stereo bass and depth and character. Okay, multi-layered bass, and the 10th did it so well. So here, there's one bass hit that is super snappy, and then the next bass hit goes really low with excellent release and decay. So this just means that you can hear resonances beyond the initial hit. Extra information, just time. It allowed itself to have time to do the bass hit completely, and that was pretty cool. And doing all of this without washing out Phil Collins' voice. It was a truly marvelous replay. It was very, very good. Next up, Enter the Sandman by Metallica. This is from the S&M Live album. So here, this is, it didn't do it in the largest stage I have ever heard, U12T. But what was a standout on the 10th anniversary that was just to make note of was the macro and micro dynamics. Now, I said I explained this. So in my explanation of what this means to me, the ability to add excitement and detail to a song presentation through mixing or mastering a track or a live replay recording where the quiet passages and the loud passages are done in a way to emphasize the difference of volume and add effect between the individual passages or the overall song. And that is, in a nutshell, micro and macro dynamics. And the 10th does this in spades, and then some. You put that iFi X bass on, and it's actually a surreal moment. The next one I wanted to bring to attention was Lux Eterna from the new album from Metallica. These dual 6mm dynamics are here now in full effect. Mind-numbing speed, really just wow. Very cool. I loved my speedy bass. And these things go low and slam. They do everything the Fan 2 does, but go lower. And it's shocking, actually. All My Friends Are Here, Joe Satriani. I use this track because it's a multi-mixed layered track. Gives you the IEM's good sense of ability to present stage depth and micro dynamics again. Here the replay was excellent. Excellent layering of instruments. Guitar sounded bang on. Really well done, PENON. Shape of My Heart by Sting. So I'm trying to listen to some male vocals here and see if there's any bass bleed, any of that. I actually had a really good laugh on this one. I had to listen to it 5 times before I got my thoughts down on paper because it was so enjoyable to listen to. I kept zoning out. I just, I'm trying to write my notes and I'm trying to put down my thoughts on paper, and I went through it 5 times before I finally got it down. And I actually laughed out loud. I said, this is ridiculous. Finally, under duress, to keep my focus, came into the conclusion that this is just a really most excellent IEM for getting lost in the music. End of review. Thank you very much for watching. Okay. The Antidote is in the Poison, Go-Go Penguins, Modern Jazz. Modern jazz at its best, really. Powerful, dynamic track, full of emotion, snappy bass. Fantastic track to listen to. Again, micro dynamics. Good sense of the IEM's ability to convey that to the listener. So how does it do? One of the most standout tracks of excellent replay of a jazz track that I've heard. The 10th just does it perfect. Perfect bass. Where I found the serial, PENON serial, to be too much bass and the Fan 2 a bit lean in the lower bass, the 10th was just bang on perfect. So when PENON said they kind of put an amalgamation of all of the previous IEMs into one, well, it's really cool. You just take the best of everything that you've made, learn from that, and they put it in this one. So, Massive Attack, Unfinished Sympathy, listening for the low drops. Yeah, but again, you're sucked into the sweet, smooth vocals. So, yeah. Money for Nothing, Dire Straits. A lot of IEMs. Sorry, Kilo is snoring over there. I don't know if you can hear it. He's pretty loud. One of these songs for micro and macro dynamics again. The W-shaped sound signature here just does a wonderful job. Not up to the 64 audio levels, but very, very, very good. As the song ramps up, so does your excitement. It's pretty good. Give, this song by Nils Lofgren. If you haven't heard any of his songs, it's really good. The guitar is outstanding. And the vocals. It really gave it an oh my god replay. Such wicked fun too. Again, the 10th isn't the most articulate, most detail retrieving set you're ever going to get or listen to, maybe. But it might max out on your fun factor, that's for sure. Ambiguous Mr. Lovegood, live. Dead Can Dance. Don't judge. The stage is massive, clearly impressive. It really is. With the 10th's ability to convey real sense of the live recording and the size of venue. Quite excellent. Very few IEMs I've listened to, kilobuck ones or cheap ones, doesn't matter, that really does such an amazing job of putting you in, you're in the crowd, and you feel you're in the crowd, and you know you're there with 10,000 other people, sweaty bodies cheering. And you're right there. It puts you there. Oh my God, how am I going to pronounce this? Ni Pokanzaz Miloskizi remastered. Hani Arani. I should just abbreviate that, like NPM or something. Look at my track playlist. The microphones. Okay, so this lady plays the piano. I listened to this track because I like her music too. But she plays piano in a way, there's multiple mics. There's a mic on the keys, and there's multiple mics, sometimes one, two, on the strings inside of the grand piano. And it's what makes her recordings unique. And you can hear in good IEMs the secondary, third order harmonics from the strings inside of the piano. And then, but the 10th did it in a way that you could not only hear that very clearly, you were pulled center stage to her main microphone on the keys as well. And it's sometimes the balance. She would balance the microphone on the strings, and then sometimes she would balance the mix with the keys, and you can clearly hear that. The absolute best I have ever heard this track being played. That had to do with the tuning, the extra note weight in the bass, the EST drivers, everything coming together. This is not a kilobuck IEM, so take that statement for that. Another interesting track, Jetlag Corporation remastered by Ace Dana. In this track, I heard probably the most perfect implementation and balance between the lows and the ESTs. So in between those two, you have your SONION BA and your Knowles BA for mids and highs. Well, in this track, it really sounded like the two 6mm dynamics and the two SONION ESTs were playing together and in a duet, where the Knowles BA and the SONION BA for mids were there just for backup and coherency between drivers. I mean, magical, really. I'm at a loss for words on this track. If you get a chance, listen to this track. There was bass in quality, quantity, texture, and then there was the twinklies that were just so smooth. Very cool track. Very cool replay. Vivaldi Double Cello Concerto, Movement Number 1 by Tina Gao, a rock violinist, cellist. She's fantastic. Real standout track for multi-layered instrument separation. And that's really hard to do, to be articulate in that way, that you can pick out the different instruments, where they're placed, front, back, left, right, top, down, where you're sitting, how the recording is done. It all comes to life. Let's move on to some EDM. As you noticed, my playlist is all over the place in my test list. Not necessarily what I listen to all of the time, though I do listen to most of what's on this list. So they're also in my favorites list, so those keep coming up as well. EDM Slam. No sibilance, no harshness. Presents just massive amounts of fun bass that just makes you turn it up loud and louder and louder. Yeah. I think at one point I in my peer group I said, hey guys, I think I need to turn this down. I said, I've been playing it so loud, I think I'm starting to get some ringing. So, yeah, pretty good. Female vocals, let's move on to some Power by Ellie Goulding. Lots of bass here, so I'm trying to listen to if there's going to be any washout to her voice. At the beginning, for the 10th, there definitely was. My first couple listens without burn-in, there was some mid-bass bleed and saturation there, and that kind of went away with burn-in over time as well. These are impressions are kind of after 100 plus hours now. There was no washing out of the vocals. Very nice bass hits to boot on this one. Some Pink. Don't judge. Cover Me in Sunshine. Here on an OFCC cable, pure copper cable, it did still get tad washed out. And then when you switch it to an SPC cable, it was real standout. So for you cable non-believers again, it's for you. You ought to know. Alanis Morissette. I love female vocalists that have an edge to their voice, and her edge came through sharp and clear. Very nice. Way Down Deep, Way Down Deep by Jennifer Warnes. Stand out again. I have used this track when I sold audio for 30 years. I've used her tracks forever. Just good quality, and you can demonstrate speakers with using this track of how good her vocals come through. Here the 10th didn't disappoint. It just came through with flying colors. I think last one, Wake Up, Oliver Manzuki. Here's an African musician I found years ago, working at a stereo store. It was highly recommended. We had this one guy in the music department, Bob. I still remember Bob. Anybody came in asking for jazz, it would be Poncho Sanchez, Jimmy Smith, and Oliver Manzuki, and it would throw people off. And it's like, oh, I've never heard of that guy. What does he do? Well, he's a African jazz musician, guitarist, and vocalist. He sings with a South African style and sometimes in English, like this one track. But he has the traditional drumming styles of the Tuku music. I'm sorry if I mixed that up. It really is at its finest. The vocals, the bass lines, the clarity, the backup singers, it's just fun. His deep voice, the backup singers, you have some really cool snaps at the very beginning and then the instrumental. Yeah, it's just done in a super fun, musical, lively manner. That was just some tracks that really just kind of blew my mind, kind of stood out. I was going through some of the forums and somebody said, you know, I really love the 10th, but it doesn't do well on country music or reggae. So I'll tell you guys straight up, no country music was, or ever will be played on anything I ever listen to. I just can't take my dog died, my pickup broke, my girlfriend left me. I don't want to be depressed. I just want to have fun. Country music is great for the hot female singers, but no, it won't be played on anything I listen to. As for reggae, I listen to Holly Cook, and she slam. So that's all I got to say about that. That's all I got to say about that. Overall sound impressions. Well, let me just state that the PENON 10th is a collage of the best traits of their IEMs that I have heard. Let me state that PENON's 10th anniversary IEM is the best collage of every IEM they've ever made. Now, when an IEM makes you forget you're listening to anything other than music, that's a very powerful thing. That's extremely rare at any price point in this hobby. I've said that before, and I mean it now. My favorite set for chillaxing is the Zen's Mangered Up. Here, again, with its use of SONION balanced armatures and EST drivers, just makes me love this combo. I know I love this combination, so when I see an IEM that has this, I immediately perk up. There has been exceptions, not to mention names. That being said, sometimes one of my things on my wish list for this set was a bit more of the special sauce. And I'm happy to report that the 10th delivers this, the special sauce that maybe the Zen's Up was mixing a little bit, in the perfect mix of EST sparkles and highs that sometimes I found lacking in the ups. This is not to say that I'm not going to listen to the ups, because I love that I am, and they're different, and I'm glad, I'm super happy that I can own both. But what also makes that one such a chill set and technical fun, The 10th just takes that to the next level for less money, like a lot less money. Let's talk about those dual 6mm drivers. So I had a taste of them in the Fan 2, and I really fell in love with the naturalness and the speedy slam they output. So in the 10th, take that to the next level again. Add a bunch more of the low frequencies and extension, but keep the speed and slam. Is that possible? Yeah, mission accomplished, really. On first listen, there was some bass bleed into the mids, and then about 100 hours in, the things really mellowed out. Bass dropped lower. 95% of the bass bleed was gone. It's still not perfect, but it's great. That being said, I don't actually mind a couple songs that have some bass bleed, because that extra weight and note energy in the lower ends just makes male vocals just stand out. And the couple songs in female vocals that I find that it added too much, I can live with it, because a lot of times those tracks also have some bass, and the bass is such a good quality in the 10th that you don't mind at all. It's not like you're going, oh wow, that's got lots of bass bleed. No, it's not like that at all. It's like, oh, her voice is, oh wow. Right? So as a comparison, I found the Globes, PENON Globes, too dark for my taste. The Serial I found just was not speedy in the bass. I know people talk about that thing as being the best bassy IEM they've ever heard. Great, I'm glad you find it like that, but I didn't. The ISN H50, I found the vocals maybe a tad too far back, and then the PENON Fan 2s, such a wonderful, I love that IEM. I love the way it does vocals, very vocal centric, but does it have the lowest bass extension? No. Does it have the most high-end extension? No. You want that? Buy the 10th. And again, there's another IEM that is on my, I reach for it. I just love the way it presents music and vocals. Highs. Let's talk about the highs. Highs are just a real killer in a good way. So not serial killer, just a good killer on this set. So not only do they have amazing, great energy. Now there's only one BA doing the highs. If you don't think that's enough, you would be incorrect. It's just enough energy in all the right places to add details, correct instrument tonality. Quite perfect, actually. Kicker there is the no sibilance or harshness, even for treble sensitive people like me. That dip at 7/8K really helps this out. That's a PENON thing. And since the pin gain at 4K, peaks out at 4K, and then drops at 5K, I find the tuning really just a masterful piece of git. It really is. I have to mention now the SONION EST. The kind of drivers done correctly are just supposed to enhance the high frequencies. Yeah, okay. With the dual ESTs, not 4 thankfully, it just adds to the overall tuning to enhance the fantastic Knowles BA and not try to compete with them, and done in a way where it's all very cohesive. There's no, the blending of the drivers is done masterfully. So it's a long video. Thank you for watching. Let's wrap it up. The decision to sell my EJs was the best decision I have ever done in a while. Be able to own this extraordinary set. With all the things I loved about my favorite sets, and I still do, that I own and I've heard, but now the 10th has rolled them really all into one, and all those things that I wish those other sets had, the 10th put it in there. So with the same kind of faster slam of the Zanzup, the lower bass, and the speedy power of the of that IEM is fantastic. The dual 6mm that were in the Fan 2, now in the 10th, masterfully tuned, goes low. I have no idea how they did it. It's fantastic. When I first heard they were using the same two 6mm drivers, I did have my doubts. I have no doubts at this point. Dude, they add this to the incredible clean vocals that the EJs gave you, but do now this in the 10th, the PENON vocal way, the house signature way. Really stand out. I just loved the way all my favorite singers sounded, from male vocals, Sting, Shaggy, Lou Reed, Phil Collins, Billy Joel, Lars, Manskin, John Legend. All my favorite female singers, Lord, Miley Cyrus, Halsey, Pink, Sia, Alanis Morissette, Ella Fitzgerald, Melissa Etheridge. They all sounded correct and natural. I'll talk about stage lastly. I have gushed really a lot about this Anniversary IEM. I do sound like a paid infomercial. Again, I'll remind you that I paid full price. Stage is not the most 3D here. I mentioned that earlier about the stage and the stage depth, and it's not the most engaging stage I have ever heard. Really, that was one of the problems with the EJs for me, that it was too much. It was too much stuff going on all over the place, and it pulled you away. So here now, the 10th keeps you in focus of whatever's front and center of you. It doesn't distract you too much from the great vocals or musical piece you're listening to, but there's enough in there to make the dynamics stand out and keep you on point. I personally find the stage tuning like this to be my favorite. It just makes a very fun playback, keeps you engaged into the music, and really makes you listen to it longer. Reiterate the last point that I think is the most important. I think the PENON 10th anniversary has taken all of my favorite sets, ISN H50, all the PENON sets, the EJ07s, the Canon, Yanyan, rolled them into one IEM in the way that I think I needed it in my stable. I think if you were thinking about passing this one up, you shouldn't. The PENON IEM 10th anniversary really is the best descriptor that I came up with, is an audio vampire. It really is. It just keeps sucking you in for more. It gets you lost in the music while simultaneously pumping you full of endorphins. That's one hell of an endorsement, really, and comes honestly from my ears and my heart. So that is my impressions of the PENON 10th anniversary. Thank you again for watching my videos and letting me share my impressions with you. Much appreciated. This is the Tone Deaf Monk. I'm out. Hey, last part of this video, if you're still watching, what I have going on now is I bought the Jew's Ear Flame. Don't buy this model. I'll tell you that in my video. Buy this IM, but buy the U41T. It's the same damn thing for less money. Anyway, that's going to be coming up. I'm going to do a shootout of the DeFi, the ZVX, and the EDXS. Yes. From thank you for that. For KZ. So that one's coming up. It's going to be a shootout video for that. I also have that NF Audio 2BA. That's an interesting set that we'll do. And then I've got the CBJ My and a couple more TRNs as well on the way. So lots of stuff coming down the pipe. I just have to find time to do them all and listen to them all to give enough time to give you my impressions. So stay tuned for those as well if you're interested. Okay. That's all I got to say about that. The Kokore? When PENON said they kind of put amalgamation of all of the previous IEMs into one, well, it's really cool. You just take the best of everything that you've made, learn from that, and they put it in this one. My lead, the most excellent implementation. I'm sorry, folks. I've had coffee. It's just not working. I'll slow down, maybe. The faceplate also happens to be my logo. Why can't I speak today? Right?